This is my video on tissues for both classes 9th and 10th. Students, you can find many videos related to tissues online, but the main speciality of my lecture is that I have described this chapter in very easy and simple steps. Very easy to understand, very easy to memorize. Please watch my video till the end and don't forget to subscribe my channel. And students, also if you have any doubts regarding tissues, then you can talk to me on comment section. I will definitely reply back to you. And in future also I will keep uploading more and more videos related to physics, chemistry, bio and maths. So what are tissues? Tissues are a group of cells that work together to form a particular function. Now first we are going to discuss about plant tissues. Plant tissues are of two types. First is meristematic and other is permanent. Meristematic tissues are further of three types: apical, lateral and intercalary. And our permanent tissues are of two types: simple and complex. Now simple tissues are further differentiated into three types: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And complex tissues are differentiated into two types: xylem and phloem. Okay, then first we will discuss what are meristematic tissues. Tissues where cells are capable of cell division. Okay, tissues where cells are capable of cell division are meristematic tissues. And as we discussed earlier, meristematic tissues are of three types: apical, lateral and intercalary. Apical tissues. Now these apical meristematic tissues are located at growing tips of stems and roots. And as they are located at growing tips of stems and roots, so their main function is to increase the length of those stems and roots. Then lateral meristematic tissues. Lateral tissues are located beneath the bark and in diploid stems and roots. So their function will be to increase the thickness, or you can also call it diameter of diploid stems and roots. Third one is intercalary. Intercalary tissues are located at base of leaves and internode, and so they will increase length of leaves and internode. Now some of you people may not know what are internodes. This small attachment of the leaves with the branch, then this small attachment is the internode. Students, it is very easy to learn and memorize the functions of meristematic tissues. As we have discussed earlier, there are three main functions of meristematic tissues. They increase the length of stems and roots, like apical do. They increase thickness of stems and roots, lateral one. And they increase length of leaves and internodes, as the intercalary meristematic tissues do. So you can easily learn them and you can use them in your long answer type questions, also in short answer type questions. Now what are permanent tissues? When meristematic tissues lose their ability to divide, then under special circumstances they form the permanent tissues. It means that the parent tissue is still the meristematic, but under some circumstances they have changed into the permanent tissue. Okay, two types of permanent tissues are simple permanent tissue and complex tissues. So what are simple permanent tissues? The tissues which are having a single type of cells are simple permanent tissue and very simple to memorize. What are complex tissues? The tissues having more than one type of cells are complex tissues. Now these are the three types of simple tissues: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Now parenchyma is located in all plant parts like stems, leaves, fruit, flowers, etc. So their main function is to store food and waste products in all the plant parts. Now next one is collenchyma. Collenchyma, in some situations the parenchyma contains chlorophyll, and in that situations where the parenchyma contains chlorophyll, they are called collenchyma. And as you know that when a plant contains chlorophyll, then it can easily perform the process of photosynthesis, trapping the solar energy. And collenchyma is located below the epidermis of diploid stem and roots, and as it can easily perform photosynthesis, so their main function is to prepare food for all the plant parts. Now the third one is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is the hard covering of nuts and seeds, outer portion of the seeds. And the sclerenchyma, the cell wall of the sclerenchyma is coated with a pigment called lignin. So as they are coated with lignin and their cell wall is very hard, so their main function is to provide rigidity, strength and support to plants. Now children, if you get a long answer question to differentiate between parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma, then first of all you have to write the functions of all three. I will keep on telling you the function of all three again. The function of parenchyma is to store the food and waste products. Collenchyma is to prepare the food as it can perform photosynthesis, and the sclerenchyma function is to give strength, hardness, rigidity to plant body and support to plants as its cell wall is lignified. Now second point, you have to write the location of all three, and in third point you have to describe their cell wall. Like the cell wall of parenchyma is made up of cellulose and the collenchyma is also made up of cellulose, but the cell wall of collenchyma is comparatively thicker than that of parenchyma. The parenchyma has a very thin cell wall, and in the sclerenchyma the cell wall has abundant cellulose and lignin, the pigment called lignin. That's why the cell wall of sclerenchyma is very, very hard. And in the fourth point, you can if you are doing it in long answer question, then in the fourth point you can use the diagram. I have drawn a very rough diagram of all three. This one is parenchyma tissues. Parenchyma tissues has a very thin cell wall. These are collenchyma with a thicker cell wall, and the other one is sclerenchyma which have lignified cell wall. Now xylem is again of four types: the tracheids, the trachea, the xylem parenchyma and the xylem sclerenchyma. Now as you can see, the tracheids and the trachea have a common function. They both have a common function. The tracheids and the trachea have thick walls and many of them are dead cells when mature. So tracheids and vessels are tubular structures, and as they tubular in shape, this allows them to transport water and minerals vertically. So their common function is that they carry the water and mineral salts upwards from roots to all the plant parts. Now other one is the xylem parenchyma. It stores the food, and xylem sclerenchyma, it gives the strength, rigidity and support to plants. Now students, for xylem parenchyma and xylem sclerenchyma, it is very easy to memorize because both of these functions of parenchyma and sclerenchyma you did earlier also. Now we will start with the types of phloem. There are four types of phloem: the sieve tube, phloem parenchyma, phloem fibers and companion cells. Now the functions of sieve tube is to transport the water and mineral salts, and they are tubular cells. Now phloem parenchyma, it transports food from leaves to all plant parts. Phloem fibers are also called the phloem sclerenchyma, and as you know, the main function of the sclerenchyma is to provide rigidity, strength and support. So same, the function of phloem fibers is to provide rigidity, strength and support to plants. The fourth one is companion cells. Now side by side I am also going to discuss a term with you: stomata. What are stomata in leaves? Stomata are the pores of leaves, and these have two kidney shaped cells called the guard cells. And the main function of stomata is transpiration. Transpiration means the loss of water in the form of water vapor. And the other function of the stomata is the exchange of gases with the atmosphere. It means carbon dioxide in and oxygen out of the leaves. Now we are going to start with the animal tissues. How many types of animal tissues are there? There are four types of animal tissues: the epithelial tissue, muscular, connective and the nervous tissues. Now what are epithelial tissues? The epithelial tissue is the covering or the protective tissues in the animal body, and they cover almost most organs and cavities within the body. The skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of blood vessels, etc., they all are made up of epithelial tissues. Now epithelial tissues further are of five types. the squamous, columnar, cuboidal, ciliated and glandular. And the muscular tissues. Muscular tissues are of three types: striated, smooth and cardiac. The muscular tissues consist of the muscular fibers, and these tissues are responsible for the movement in our body. The muscular tissues contain a special protein in them called the contractile protein, and these proteins only help them to contract and relax and cause the movement. Now, what are connective tissues? Connective tissues are those tissues which connect one body organ to another. And connective tissues are further of four types. They are fluid, skeletal, areolar and adipose. Now the fluid tissues, they also include the blood and the lymph. They are of two types, blood and lymph. Skeletal tissues, it is of two types, bone and cartilage. And the areolar tissues are of two types, the tendons and ligaments. The cells of the connective tissue are loosely spaced, and they are embedded in an intercircular matrix, and this matrix may be jelly-like, fluid, dense or rigid. And the nature of the matrix differs in concordance with the function of the particular connective tissue. Now we come to the nervous tissues. The nervous tissues don't have many types. They are simply made of neurons, the nerve cells. Neurons are the longest cells in the human body. All these neuron cells possess the ability to respond to stimulus. Now, where are squamous tissues found? They are found in the lining of mouth, nose, skin and the covering of the tongue. We can easily memorize it through the sense organs. It means they are present in almost all the sense organs, squamous tissues. And their function is to protect the underlying body parts and to prevent the entry of the germs. Now, what does squamous means? Actually, the squamous tissues, in squamous tissues, the squama means the scale of the skin. And these squamous tissues are extremely thin and flat, and they form a delicate lining. See, these are the squamous tissues. This is a diagram of squamous tissues, and these are arranged in layers. The one is cuboidal tissues. The cuboidal tissues are found in the thyroid, salivary and sweat glands, and their function is AES. AES means, students, A for absorption, E for excretion and S for secretion. Now the third one are columnar tissues. The columnar tissues are found in the lining of small and large intestine and also the lining of the stomach, and their function is AS. AS means absorption and secretion. Now the fourth one is the ciliated tissues. The ciliated tissues. Now when the cuboidal and the columnar epithelium have thread-like cytoplasmic outgrowths in them, then these outgrowths are called cilia, and such type of epithelium is called ciliated epithelium. It means that the ciliated epithelium is actually the cuboidal and the columnar epithelium, but only with the hair-like projections called cilia. And these are found in windpipe, lungs, fallopian tubes. See, this is a cross-section of the cuboidal tissues. It has a basement membrane and the cube-like structures. Okay, you can also see nucleus in all the cubes. Again, after this is the columnar ciliated epithelium. In the columnar ciliated epithelium, there is a basement membrane. Again, there are columns, and above the columns, you can see the thin hair-like projections, which are called the cilia. Now we will discuss the types of muscular tissues. The muscular tissues are of three types: striated, smooth, and the cardiac. Now the striated muscles are the voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles means that we can control them according to our will. When we want to move them, we can move them, and when we want to stop them, we can easily stop them. So striated muscles are the voluntary muscles, as we can find them in the muscles of limbs, hands, arms. Now the other one is the muscular, smooth muscles tissues. The smooth muscles tissues are the involuntary muscles. By involuntary muscles, we mean that these are those muscles which we can't control, like the muscles in the iris of eyes, like the muscles in the lungs. We can't control the contraction and the relaxation of the lungs. The third one is the cardiac muscles. The cardiac muscles obviously are also the involuntary muscles. We can't control the contraction and relaxation of the heart. They are all found in only heart. Now a question is, why the striated muscles are called striated? See, this is a cross section of the photo of striated muscles. You can see there are light and dark bands in between them. These light and dark bands in the striated muscles are called the striations, and that's why they are called striated muscles. They have also nuclei in between them. This is a cross section of a smooth muscle, and it has spindle shaped muscle cells in between them. Now we will discuss the fluid connective tissues. The fluid connective tissues are of two types, the blood and the lymph. The blood is made up of three blood cells, RBC, WBC and the platelets. The full form of RBC is red blood corpuscles, WBC is white blood cells. Now the main function of RBC is the RBC has hemoglobin in it, and the function of hemoglobin is to carry oxygen to all the parts of the body. The function of WBC is it prevents infection in the body. It means it creates immunity in the body. Now we will see the composition of lymph. Lymph is slightly different than the blood. It is a colorless fluid which is filtered out of the blood capillaries. Now the lymph is made up of lots of WBC, platelets, but no RBC in it. Completely no RBC in it. That's why it is not red in color. It is a colorless fluid, and the blood is red because of the RBC in it. Now the function of lymph is to prevent infection, as it has lots of WBC, and the main function of the WBC is to prevent infection, create immunity. The other function of the lymph is to carry the oxygen and the glucose to all the body parts. And the third function of the lymph is to bring carbon dioxide from tissue fluids to the blood. Next one is the skeletal connective tissue. Now the skeletal connective tissue is further of two types, the bone and the cartilage. Now bone forms the framework that supports the body, and it also anchors the muscles and supports the main organs of the body. Bone is present everywhere in the body. Now the main functions of the bones is that the bone gives shape to the body, it gives support to body, it gives support to muscles, and it stores calcium and phosphorus. Students, this Ca is for calcium and P is for phosphorus. While the cartilage, the functions of cartilage is that the cartilage supports the body and it smoothens the bone surfaces at the joint site. Cartilage is present mainly in ears and nose. But there is a major difference between the bones and the cartilage. We can even fold the cartilage. We can easily fold the cartilage of the ears. We cannot bend the bones in our arms. Students, you can do it experimentally and see that we can fold the cartilage of our ears. But can we fold the bones of our ears? Never. Very hard. And the cartilage is rough type, but it is not so hard. Now there are two terms. One is the tendon and the other is the ligament. Two bones can be connected to each other by another type of connective tissue called ligament. And this tissue is very elastic. Ligaments contain very little matrix. But what are tendons? The tendons connect muscles to bones. It means that one bone is connecting to another through ligament, and one muscle is connecting to bones through the tendons. The third connective tissue are the areolar tissues. These areolar tissues join the skin to muscles, and they are mainly found around the muscles, blood vessels and the nerves. And it fills the space inside the organs, support internal organs and help in repair of tissues. Now, a question is that where are fats stored in our body? Fats are stored in the adipose tissues, and these are the fourth and the last connective tissues. The adipose tissues, these are the fat storing tissues below the skin and between the internal organ. Their main function is to store the fat, and they also act as the heat insulators of the body. They are the heat insulator, they reduce the heat loss from the body and regulates the body temperature. Third, and the main thing is that they act as the shock absorbing cushions in between the internal organs. If there are no adipose tissues, then we can easily see that when the internal organs, they can easily crash with each other if there are no adipose tissues in between them. Adipose tissues are also mainly found in internal organ and especially around our eyeballs. Students, I am giving you a short summary of all the topics. But if you get such questions in long answer type questions like of 5 marks each, then you can elaborate these points. And if you get these questions in short answer type or very short answer type, then you can use easily the same points which I am using in this video. Now, what are nervous tissues? Nervous tissues are the tissues which are found in the brain, spinal cord and the nerves. The cells of these tissues are called the neurons. A neuron consists of a cell body. See, this one is the cell body of a neuron. It has a nucleus in its center and it has the hair-like projections coming out of the cell body, which is the dendrites. The other one is the axon. The axon is a cylindrical structured shape which is coming out of the cell body. These are axons, and at the end of the axons there are the nerve endings. So students, if you get in boards a long answer type question to describe a nervous tissue, then just write the location of the nervous tissue, where they are located. They are located in brain, spinal cord and the nerves. And after that, draw this diagram. This is a very simple diagram. Just draw this diagram, label it, and then explain the functions of the dendrite and the axons. These dendrite are the hair-like projections, and their main function is that they carry the impulses to the cell body. On the other hand, the axons are the long cylindrical structure which take impulses away from the cell body. It means that the dendrites and the axons both have the opposite functions. One is carrying the impulses to the cell body and the other is carrying the impulses away from the cell body. At the end of the axons, these are the nerve endings, and these nerve endings are connecting to the body. Now, some of you will get in mind that what is the impulse? The impulses which these dendrites are carrying and axons are carrying, then what is this impulse? The impulse is the simple passage of the electrical activity along the axon of the neurons. These nerve impulses allow us to move our muscles when we want to. Students, I have covered mostly all the topics of this chapter tissue. Watch my video twice or thrice, students, and you will easily memorize all the topics of this chapter. Now, first I am going to recall the previous topics which I discussed with you. Now, first recall all these topics. First of all, what is a tissue? Students, tissue is a group of cells which perform the similar functions. Then we will come to the type of plant tissues. Plant tissues are mainly of two types: the meristematic tissues and the permanent tissues. The meristematic tissues are the parent tissues, and the permanent tissues, they are derived only from the meristematic tissues once they lose their ability to divide. Now, the meristematic tissues are further of three types: the parenchyma, collenchyma and the sclerenchyma. And the permanent tissues are of two types: the simple and the complex tissues. Meristematic tissues again are of three types: apical, lateral and intercalary. And the permanent tissues are of two types: the simple and the complex tissues. Now, the simple tissues are divided further into three types: the parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And the complex tissues are of two types: the xylem and the phloem. The xylem tissues are of four types: the trachea, xylem parenchyma and the xylem sclerenchyma, and you can easily memorize the functions of all of them. Like xylem parenchyma has the same function like of parenchyma. It means it stores food. The xylem sclerenchyma has the same function like of simple sclerenchyma tissues. It means that they provide the rigidity, support, all this to plants. Now we will come to the phloem. The phloem are of 4 types: the sieve tube, phloem parenchyma, phloem fibers, and the companion cells. The phloem fibers are also called the phloem parenchyma. Again, their functions are very simple. The phloem parenchyma has same function of simple parenchyma tissues. It means they store the food. The phloem fibers or the phloem sclerenchyma has the same function of simple sclerenchyma tissues. It means that they make plants strong, they provide rigidity, they provide support to the plants. Now it's time to recall the animal tissues. The animal tissues are of 4 types: epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, and the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue has no subtypes. They are simply made of neurons. I discussed earlier also, they are made of neurons. They are found in nerves, spinal cord, brain. Now the epithelial tissue are of 5 types: the squamous, columnar, cuboidal, ciliated, and the glandular. And the muscular tissues are of 3 types: the striated, smooth, and the cardiac muscles. And the connective tissues are of 4 types: the fluid, skeletal, areolar, and the adipose tissues. Let's discuss one more question in this chapter: the difference between the plant and the animal tissues. If you get to write the difference between plant tissues and the animal tissues in long answer type questions, then you can write these 3 points. In the plant tissues, the dead tissues are more abundant as compared to the living tissues. While on the other side, in the animal tissues, you have to write that the living tissues are more abundant than the dead tissues. The second point is that the plant tissues require less maintenance energy, while the animal tissues, they require the more maintenance energy. Third one is that in the plant tissues, the organization of the plant tissues is very simple, while the organization of the animal tissues is very complex. See, this is a meristematic tissue. It has a thin cell wall, a nucleus in the center, and cytoplasm scattered in all its cells. Now we very well know about the bone and cartilage, but now we will do the difference between the bone and the cartilage. The bones are porous and the cartilage is the non-porous. In the bones, the blood vessels are present, while in cartilage, the blood vessels are absent. Bones are very hard and inflexible, while the cartilages are flexible. Now come to the difference between the axon and the dendrite. First, in the difference of axon and dendrite, students, you have to write the functions of both of them. You know their function very well. The function of the axons is to carry the impulses away from the cell body, while the function of dendrite is to carry impulses towards the cell body. Both have opposite functions. Secondly, in axons, the Nissl granules are absent and the neurofibrils are present. But in dendrites, both the Nissl granules and the neurofibrils are present. Third is that axons are covered with sheath, while in dendrite the sheath is absent. There is a very important question in the NCERT book of class 9th, the difference between the striated, smooth and the cardiac muscles. So students, first in this difference, first you have to write the location of all the 3 muscles. We have discussed earlier also the location. The striated muscles are present in the muscles of our limbs, the muscles of our hands, arms, and the smooth muscles, they are present in the muscles of iris of our eyes, in our lungs, and cardiac muscles are present in the heart. This is their location which you have to write. The second difference is that the striated muscles are voluntary muscles, while the smooth and the cardiac muscles are involuntary muscles. Again, I am repeating, the voluntary muscles are those muscles which are not under our control, and the involuntary muscles are the voluntary muscles are under our control. We can easily move them according to our will. But the involuntary muscles are not under our control, like the muscles of our heart, the muscles of our lungs. We can't control the contraction and relaxation of the muscles of lungs, heart,